Hey, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom here. Quick lesson for you on how to play the three basic parts for the great Queen tune, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Before we get on to the lesson, if you're not already a member of my subscription list, head over to the website, the link's underneath the video. Go and subscribe. There's a very cool 4-part lesson series that you get for subscribing that you won't find anywhere else, so go and check that out. The first one is Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon. Let's get on with the lesson and let's go look at the basic verse pattern. The verse is a 12-bar pattern that's in D. It's pretty straightforward. I'll play it with the metronome and we'll talk through the notes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the first two bars are in D. The basic notes are D, 5th fret of the A string, F sharp, the 4th fret of the D string, A, 7th fret of the D string, and then B, 4th fret of the G string. And for the first two bars you've got this kind of rhythm. It's mostly quarter notes, but there's a couple of swung eighth notes paired together. So it'd be like this. So you saw that the swung eighth note pair was on the first beat of bar 1, but then in the second bar it moved to beat 3. Okay, after those two bars of D, we go to G, a bar in G, and it's G at the 5th fret of the D string, B, which is the 4th fret of the G string, D, which is the 7th fret of the D string, and then you've got to get up to E, which is the 9th fret of the G string. So you've got, and then the 4th bar of the pattern, you slide your hand down again slightly, and you hit 2 C's, which are the 5th fret of the G string, and then a swung eighth note pair of B, and then back to G. So you've got C, C, B, B, G. C is 5th fret of the G string, B is 4th fret of the G string, G is 5th fret of the D string. So then that pattern repeats, and if you wanted to throw in some variations, you can change where the kind of the pair of swing eighth notes appears. Into the last 4 bars of the pattern, which is kind of sometimes people call the turnaround. I'll play the four bars. First one's in D, and that's what we've played so far. D, F sharp, A, B, and then you're down to B flat at the 1st fret of the A string, up to C, 3rd fret of the A string, and then you've got a variation on the basic pattern in D. So you've got D, F sharp, A, and then you've got this triplet B, A, B, D, 7th fret of the G string. So that should give you the notes to pick out, and that's pretty much makes up the basic verse pattern. The next pattern we want to look at is the bridge. Section underneath the lyric, Freddie Mercury sings "There Goes My Baby, She Knows How to Rock and Roll." Again, it's a 12-bar section. Play it through the metronome, and then we'll talk through the notes. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's look at the first 4 bars. It starts out in G, 5th fret of the D string, and that pattern's G to E, 7th fret of the A string, to D, 5th fret of the A string, back to E. You notice again there's a pair of swung eighth notes in there. And the second bar is similar, but there's an extra pair of swung eighth notes in, but the notes are the same. Then you're down to the third bar, which is all C, which is third fret of the A string. And then you're back to that basic, which is G, E, D, E, and already gone through the notes. Then we've got this rundown, or this climb down, which will be a really familiar pattern. So we'll stop there and look at those notes before we move on. So it starts on B flat, 8th fret of the D string, A, 7th fret of the D string, G, 5th fret of the D string, F, 8th fret of the A string, E flat, 6th fret of the A string, D, 5th fret of the A string, C, C natural, 8th fret of the E string, B flat, 6th fret of the E string, and then you go to E natural, and then there you've got that stop there before you've got the triplet run. So you've got 2 on E, the 7th fret of the A string, and that is A, 5th fret of the E string, down to F natural, the 1st fret of the E string. And then we've got the triplet run. Now, if you're not totally comfortable counting triplet rhythms, the best way to learn this pattern is to listen to this section of the tune over and over while you're having a think about the notes and stuff like that, and hum it into your head and get the melody, or the rhythm of this section as something that you can hum as you're walking along while you're listening to it. If you do that, then you'll be able to just automatically fit the notes actually into the hummed rhythmic pattern that you've created. So the first thing is, which is D, D flat, C, and that's the 5th, 4th and 3rd fret of the A string. Then the next pattern is identical, except it's on the E string. It's A, A flat and G, 5th, 4th and 3rd frets. And then you've got this final pattern. And you've got that lead back to the next bar. So this pattern is just E. First two notes are the open E string. Then you've got the rest of them are E at the 7th fret of the A string. And then this bar in A, which brings us back to the verses, A at the 5th fret of the E string, the octave A at the 7th fret of the D string, G, 5th fret of the D string, F sharp, 4th fret of the D string, and E, 7th fret of the A string, and then you're back into the realms of that normal pattern. So I'll just play through, I'll just put the metronome on and just play through from the stab on E. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that should give you, that'd be just a little pattern for you to listen to, which has got the rhythm of that triplet section. But as I say, if you listen to the original recording and kind of hum through that pattern, you'll pick the rhythm up pretty quickly. So that just leaves one other section that we need to pick up to play the tune, and that's kind of a variation of this bridge figure which happens under the guitar solo. The guitar solo is another 12-bar section, very similar to the bridge that we've just looked at. The first 4 bars are different, and the last 2 bars, the rhythm stays the same, but the notes used in the last kind of triplet fill are slightly different. But other than that, the rest of the section is identical. You'll hear the climb down and you'll be familiar with it. I'll play through the section and we'll talk through the notes. 3, 4. Okay, then that section goes to the a cappella verse. Let's look at the notes. The first 2 bars are in B flat and sound something like this. Okay, and the notes that we're actually using are B flat, 8th fret of the D string, G, 5th fret of the D string, F natural, 8th fret of the A string, and you've got this kind of rhythm. So you've got 2 on B flat, G, F, G, B flat, G, F, G, and then we're down to the next 2 bars of the pattern, which are in, start off in D. The 3rd bar is, which is D, the 5th fret of the A string, A, 7th fret of the D string, octave D, 7th fret of the G string, and then you've got 2 quarter notes on G natural, 5th fret of the D string, and then the 4th bar, slightly different variation, is D, 5th fret of the A string, A, 7th fret of the D string, octave D, played with a swing 8th pair, 7th fret of the G string, and then back to A, which is the 7th fret of the D string. Then we've got this rundown that we looked at in the bridge in greater detail. All the fret locations are there. I'll just talk through the notes as I play down through it, and then the slight variation is right at the end, which I'll come back to and talk through the notes. So it starts on B flat, so it's B flat, A, G, F, E flat, D, C, B flat, E, E, A, F. Then that goes to the a cappella chorus. So this section again is D, D flat, C as we looked at before, and then A, A flat, G as we looked at before. This time on the next triplet rhythm, instead of starting out on the E on the open E, we're starting out here, the 7th fret of the D string, sorry, the A string, excuse me, and it's this. So you play 4, it's a triplet rhythm over the count, and you play 4 E's, then you've got F sharp, G, and you finish on A as a stab before you then go into the a cappella verse. F sharp, 4th fret of the D string, G, 5th fret of the G string, and then A is the 7th fret. Sorry, I just said G string, I meant D string there. So those are the 3 sections. You can pretty much put them together. The only other variation on the recording is when you get to the end, the kind of turnaround section in the verse, which is repeats. And there's various things you could do to vary that up if you want to make it sound more interesting, but you can, as long as you recognise where that starts and you play the pattern that we already looked at in the verse, it will get through that section without any problems. So I hope that helps you get through the tune, and I'll see you in the next video.